Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Yvette Best from Best Services Unlimited, and today we're going to talk about taxes. We're going to have a Q&A session, and we're going to talk about any taxes that you want to know, questions, and have answers for. Um, right now they're saying they're building an audience for me, so we're going to stand by. I'm going to also allow a couple of people who have just joined in to share it. And then we're going to take and talk about taxes. A lot of people have questions about taxes. I want to give you answers because I want everybody to do well on their tax refund, whether I'm the person who does their taxes or not. I do believe knowledge is power and knowledge is key. There's a great quote from the Dalai Lama that if you share your knowledge, you become immortal. So I like to be able to share my knowledge with others. So I'm going to give a couple of more minutes for people to come on, and then we're going to just take questions. People who have questions about taxes, ask me, and I'll let you know what I know about taxes to the best of my knowledge. And I like to give a shout out to Michelle. You on the line? Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. You Of course, me and you talked when we met on the cruise about taxes, so feel free to throw out any questions that you may have. I did have one today, which I thought was really, 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 really good. It was about someone who had an LLC who wanted to change it to an S corp, and all it takes is for you to file a form. The form is called a 2553 with the IRS. And then you can file that form and change your LLC designation to be taxed as an S Corp. But I just wanted to give us some more advice because I was like, well, are you sure? Because if you know, most people change from being a single member LLC to an S Corp so they won't have to pay self-employment tax. However, when you are an S Corp, you're taxed on the profits that the company makes. So just take that into consideration, because if you start having like $100,000 in profits, you're going to be paying taxes on $100,000. Let me see, what other questions did I receive today? The other one I received was about being an independent contractor. So I have a lot of people who are driving Uber, working for Lyft, doing any type of side business where they are, sorry, got a call, got interrupted, will be taking and doing, they're selling stuff on Amazon, eBay. And I want people to be aware when they're taking in all this information, especially if they're using PayPal. You know, once you get a certain amount of money from PayPal, over $600, they're going to send you a 1099-K. And that gets reported to the IRS. So the IRS kind of knows, one, you're an independent contractor. You're getting money from another source. And they're going to want to see where you're going to report this income on your return. But don't fret. Just because you receive a 1099-K from PayPal doesn't mean that all of the sales that you made for the year will be, you will have to claim taxes on. Because of course, if you were selling merchandise, you had to purchase the merchandise, and that is an expense. So you're going to be taking that away from your gross number. And the IRS is aware of that. But just keep that in mind, that people who are doing online sales and they're using PayPal or even any type of credit merchant services, now it's a law that they have to, after you get $600 worth of sales, that you will get a 1099-K from them. And that's another way how the IRS is tracking your income. So even like I would say, for me, I'm a tax accountant. Everybody knows I do taxes. So the IRS, which I found out, which I thought was so hilarious, I go in to renew my P10. So the P10 is my registration number that goes on returns that I'm paid to file. And when I went in there to look, it said, view how many returns underneath my P10. So I go in there and look, and I look at the number, and I'm like, wow, okay, the IRS is tracking how many returns I'm actually e-filing. So you can guarantee that because they know I'm getting paid for being a tax accountant, they could pretty much kind of gear how much income I would be receiving from this activity. And if they wanted to challenge anything, they'll be able to do that as well. Thank you, William, for tuning in. Thank you. Today is the Q&A session. Basically, anyone who had any questions about taxes. I get questions all the time in my inbox, but I figured I might probably do a Facebook Live and give some information, offer any information, because I do believe that knowledge is power. People should know what goes into their tax return, because when you sign it, it now becomes your responsibility. Hey, Jazz, I see you. And what happens is a lot of times people really do not know what these tax professionals are doing when they are preparing their return. And they really should. And I don't feel that if any of my clients, they know I educate them all the time about different things about taxes, because I feel that with them having education, they become a better client for me, because now I know that they're keeping all of their tax information, they're keeping all their receipts. I'm going to be able to get them the best money possible, lower all of their tax liability as best as my ability, and that's great. Hey Tamika, how you doing? Thank you for tuning in. It is really, really great when you have people come in to the office and they have knowledge. I really don't want tax professionals to feel that if their clients have knowledge about taxes, now they're going to run out and do their own taxes. Now, you may have some clients that say, okay, I might be able to do this on my own, and they do their own taxes. This is true. But for most people, just because they have knowledge doesn't mean they want to do their taxes. They like, hey, girl, thank you for that knowledge and helping me get a better refund, but I'm going to leave that all up to you. But I think that knowledge definitely is power. People should have it. You should investigate into stuff. Just don't believe everything that you hear, because people will be telling you things and it don't be true. Or a lot of times you have tax preparers doing stuff to your return that you don't know what they're doing. You sign it, and then if you get audited, you're the one that's going to have to pay. So because of the fact that you're going to have to be the one that's responsible for your return, you need to really know what is going into your return. You can always look up for information on irs.gov. I do realize that a lot of their publications is very tax talk-ish. So it's like sometimes, but it's getting a lot of user friendly, and especially for people who are driving Uber, Lyft, or doing anything in the shared economy, they have a whole website dedicated to that industry, which is pretty clear and easy to read and jargon free. But do know they are the IRS, so they do talk in tax talk. But you can also get books. You know, they got Taxes for Dummies. They have all other kind of books. You know, I just wrote a book this year called Maximizing Your Tax Refund. That is a tax education book just for individuals to do better with their tax returns. Because I knew there was a lot of people out there with just myths that I have heard that is not true. Things like if they had 4 kids, they were being told they only could claim 3 of their kids because the other kid wouldn't give them any money, and that's not true. Things like they couldn't claim their parent as a dependent, but they were taking care of their parent, and that's not true. Things like people who were women that I knew that came to my office that actually were married, but their husbands wasn't with them anymore and wasn't living with them, and they were being told they had to file married filing separate when they actually should have been filing head of household. So I wanted to get rid of all of those myths. Plus, there was some things in the book basically about how to, basically 8 steps so you would not be making mistakes, which would tank your refund, which I see in the office all the time. I give you 2. 1, please stop taking money out of your 401k without withholding federal and state income tax. It is okay if you have to make a withdrawal from your 401k, because it happens. Life happens. Emergencies happen. But please, if you take money out your 401k, please withhold federal 20%, your state 10%. And if you have to inflate the amount you're going to withdraw to compensate for the taxes that you're going to withhold, please do so. You do not realize how much I have many people come to the office who take money out from their 401k, do not take and withhold any federal or state, and that is the main reason why they're owing money. And if it's 2,000, 3,000, it's a little bit. But I have people pull out 50,000. I had people pull out a whole 100,000 because they left their job and started their business and pulled out all their money from their 401k to start their business. However, didn't do it the right way, so they had to claim that whole 100,000 with no federal to back it up, and that is a lot of money. So don't do that. Also, we all know we got the tax professionals that's giving the hookup. We know that the one I like to say, that guy. We all know we got that guy we can go to, and they're going to hook our taxes up. However, IRS is starting to get real smart about certain credits that people are claiming and know they're not supposed to have them. The main one is the American Opportunity Credit. Everybody running saying they going to school, putting these fictitious schools on their tax returns. But see, there's a form called a 1098-T. That form is filed by the school when you attend. You're pretty sure that they can match up the school to the 1098-T and realize you haven't attended college at all, and now they're going to be wanting their money. And that tax credit in itself is worth $4,000 because you get $2,500 to lower your tax liability, and they make it refundable another $1,000 in your pocket. So with all of that being said, you can now go from having this refund of $3,000-$4,000 to owing the IRS $3,000-$4,000. So it's just not worth it. Sometimes the hookup is just not worth it. So just claim the things that you're supposed to claim. Leave these credits, and especially this is also for the tax preparers, because now the IRS is going to tax you. So back in the summer, I talked about how, one, they was going to delay all the refunds until February 15th if you were claiming the earned income credit or the additional child tax credit. So people were kind of thinking, well, I don't get earned income credit, so that doesn't affect me. However, if you are a parent of a child that's under the age of 17 and your income meets the guidelines, you could be eligible for the additional child tax credit. And that means you won't get your refund either, irregardless if you file for earned income credit or not. But back to the tax professionals. Each one of those credits, the earned income credit, the additional child tax credit, and the American Opportunity Credit, comes with a penalty of $510 per credit. That means if you take and give this credit to someone who was not supposed to receive it, while the taxpayer is paying back the IRS, tax professionals will be paying the IRS as well, because they definitely are going to hit you with a penalty of $510 per credit. So if you had a return with all three credits, and the IRS says to the taxpayer, no, you was not supposed to get those credits. Guess what, tax professionals? You will be paying the IRS $1,530. It's just way, way too much money. It's just not worth it. So I'm hoping that now that they're going to be giving stiffer penalties to tax professionals, this will stop a lot of the fraud. So that way we can really do tax business instead of having to verify everything about you before we fill the taxes out. Then you finally get to file your taxes and we e-file them. Then we find out somebody else filed the taxes and said they were you. And now you have to fill out all these other documentations to get your taxes filed and wait 2, 3, 4 months until they decide to finish the investigation and give you your refund. Meanwhile, everything that you got going on and got planned has to be put on hold because now you're waiting for your tax return to come that went to someone else that wasn't you. So we're hoping that with all these new penalties, different penalties that they're putting in place, the greater security that they're going to put in place, and be on the lookout, because there are going to be people who are going to receive letters in the mail beforehand. So probably like the beginning of January, people, if they haven't went out already, the IRS is going to be reaching out to people who they may feel might have been a victim of identity theft. You may have already filed your return, and then someone tried to file a return behind you in your name. They're going to send you documentation to tell you to verify who you are before they even give you an identification pin to file your taxes. Because what was happening was people had stole other people's identification and was filing taxes in their name with an ID pin. So the real person couldn't file their taxes at all. So to combat that, they got a form now that you're going to fill out that's going to verify all your information about you before you even file the taxes. Let's talk about IRS scams, because there have been a lot of scams this year. Everybody know about the phone calls. No, not that IRS doesn't call you, so don't give them any of your money. However, the con artists have been listening. So they know that the IRS usually will send you a letter in the mail when you owe some money. So they have gotten smart, and they have been mailing people letters saying they owe the IRS. The letters look just like they came from the IRS. It was so foolproof that, I mean, even a letter came to my office, said that I owe the IRS, and I was calling the IRS like it can't be. However, the return address is the giveaway. Most of the time, anytime you have a deficiency with the IRS, this letter will usually come from Philadelphia, PA. That's kind of key. However, these letters were coming from Austin, Texas. So that was one of the giveaways. And then the address, like the P.O. box or something with it, was not right. So I would say, if you got any documentation that you get from the IRS, before you pull out your checkbook, call them. Find out what the letter is. Verify that they are the ones who sent it to you. Verify that the amount on it is correct. Verify that all the information on it is really legit. Tell them to go through everything with you because you want to know. Reason being, I just had a client, one of my clients received a letter from the IRS saying that they owed some money. Come to find out, I look at the return. I show the return to the client. The income is listed on the return. However, the income that was listed on the return was more than the income that they had received from the person who had gave it to them. We didn't know, but he claimed all the income because he wanted to do the right thing. So, needless to say, had to call up the IRS, say, hey, over here on this line, here is the income that I received. I claimed it on my taxes. Why do you say that I owe any money? What happens? The IRS like, oh, somebody must didn't look on it close enough. Well, we're not going to send you any more documentation. You don't owe us anything. So I say that to say, just because you receive a letter in the IRS, don't just take it for granted you owe them money. Do some investigation, because sometimes people, just like us, you have a job. Sometimes people like to do their job, and sometimes people don't like to do their job. And obviously, whoever had to review the return that belonged to my client obviously wasn't having a good day. They just looked at it, said, oh, I don't see the income on the return. They must owe it. And it wasn't the case. The income was actually double the amount of the income was on the return, and they just didn't look for it. So just make sure, just because you receive a notice from the IRS does not mean that you have to immediately pull out your checkbook and start paying them. Investigate. So, things we talked about already. Knowledge is power. Don't believe everything that you hear when it comes to these taxes, because there's people out here that will surely tell you anything to get your money out of your pocket while they're doing your tax return, and then you get a letter from the IRS and you won't be able to find them. 3, just because you get a letter from the IRS and it tells you that you owe, do some investigation, because they make mistakes too. And just be more careful about the person you pick to do your taxes. So if you decide, look, That's fine, Yvette. I'm happy for the knowledge that you've given. I read your book. It was great, but I'm not trying to do my own taxes. Take and at least go to the website that belongs to the IRS. It's called, you can Google IRS Directory of Tax Preparers with Credentials. They have a website. At least check and make sure that your tax professional is on that website. They should be. Because that means that this person is one, either they're a CPA, they're an enrolled agent, an attorney, or a tax accountant that is part of the annual filing season program, which means that all of us have went to class, took all the CPE credits, continuing education credits that we need in updated tax law for the year, and we are there now with all the good new knowledge to do tax returns. And it doesn't take that much to get into the directory. So if you have a tax professional that's not even doing their due diligence to get on the directory, when all you have to do is go to class for 20 hours to get on the directory and give all the information into the IRS, are you really sure that that person is going to be doing a good job on your tax returns? If they're not even doing their own due diligence, don't allow that person to do your taxes. I know there's going to be some tax professionals that's going to be mad about me saying that. I just don't care. Everybody knows I've been working for 13 years now. I have a day job. Senior financial analyst, track, control, and manage a $20 million budget for a company called Bombardier Transportation for the city of Atlanta. And I have Best Services Unlimited, which is my tax company. Had my tax company now for 10 years. And if I dedicate my time and energy to put into my business to make sure that I keep updated with all the tax laws, all the tax changes, if I have someone who just doing taxes and that's all they do and they say that this is their business, you better make sure that that person is getting the education that they need to do your taxes right. Because the IRS is not going to be playing any games, and they made it a law now. So if you Google the PATH Act of 2015, you can see all the regulations that was put into effect before Obama left office. So they're in effect, and they have laws in there now. So the IRS is now getting more and more authority from Congress to do things, and then they're going to be cramping down like crazy. So you just don't want to be one of those people that's caught and made an example of, because now they have all these stiffer penalties and rules in place. Let me see who's in here now. I just saw Lizette. Thank you for tuning in. I see Joyce. Hey Joyce, how are you? The clothes fit very well. Joyce Beverly is the owner of Fayette Women, and she has a beautiful clothing line called oh my goodness, the name just escaped me. I'm so sorry. And some beautiful jewelry by Premier Design. A beautiful necklace called A Girl's Best Friend. Google that. It is a beautiful necklace. So if you do get a chance, you should order that. It's awesome. I have it. Beautiful to take on a cruise where you don't have to take all your whole jewelry box with you. I don't see any questions coming in, so I'm going to get ready to sign off. It's about almost 9 o'clock. So I guess I'll get myself ready for tomorrow. Let me give a shout out to everyone in Power Core that I will see you tomorrow at 6:45 in the morning. I like to give a shout out to everyone in my econ team, Jay, Cortez, William. Give a shout out to y'all. I love to give a special shout out to Black Card Books. You guys rock. You're the best publishers ever. I'm just so thankful for what God has allowed me to do with my book and made my dream come to life. Because I never thought I would be an author. I never thought I had the discipline to write them pages. So I thank you for working with me, staying on top of me, especially you, Jerry Robert, because you know we went through countless calls, countless nights. So I thank you. To everybody, all of my clients, I am 100% thankful for every single one of you. If I don't tell you that enough, please know that I am 100% thankful for every single one of you. I just hope that all the information that I give you, the life that I breathe into you, the finances that I share with you, really helps you grow and mature and do everything that you're doing, because I want everybody to do well. I want everybody to do what they want to do. That's the key. A lot of times I see people want to do stuff like, even me, they see me, oh, Yvette, you always traveling, you going here, you doing that. But it was a change in my mindset that made that happen. It just wasn't just all about money, because everybody has the ability to make money. But you have to change your mindset too. Because a lot of times people are still, we as adults still succumb to peer pressure. You want to have the best car. You want to have the best house. You want to be having the best clothes. You want to be having everything. And sometimes it's just not necessary. And you know me, I'm plain. I drive a Kia Sorento. It's good for me. It gets me from point A to B. It's paid for. It's no car note. It's mine. I have no car note, so I could do mostly a lot of other stuff that I like to do because I don't have no car note. And when I just got into my mind that I decided I was going to do what I wanted to do, my life got so much better. I stopped living for everybody else and what everybody else expected me to do. And I just started doing what I wanted to do. I said, hey, I'm going to go back to school. Why the heck would you want to go back to school? You're almost 40 years old. Well, you know what? I'm going back to school. And what did I do? I went and got my bachelor's. And then what did I went and do? I went and got my MBA. Because I said education is one thing no one could ever take away from you. And once you have it, you have it. No one can take it from you. And I'm a nerd, so I love school. So, of course, I'm going to go to school. Everybody keeps wondering about this PhD. Let me just put it, I won't take it off the table, but I really do not have any aspirations to be a PhD. An attorney, yes. A PhD, no. So I want to just say to you, everyone who tuned in, thank you. Thank you so much. Please share the video with your audiences. Hopefully, this message will reach someone who needs it. I hope I was able to give you some information that's going to help you do great this tax season coming and the rest of them to follow. And just remember that IRS website, Google IRS tax preparers with credentials. Make sure to check and make sure that your tax preparer is on that list before you use them. And if you decide you want to still use them, find out why. Say, hey, the IRS has a website for all of the tax preparers. Why aren't you on their website? Find out why. Because it doesn't take that much. Again, they have to do continuing education credits, and they have to have their own EFIN, which if people are doing taxes and they got tax help for it, they already have an EFIN. You take the continuing education credits, you get updated with the tax law, and you get on the website. It's easy. So if people are serious about their business, they should be on the website. So just make sure that they're actually there and you can see them and you can let them be more transparent about what they're doing. So with that, I'm going to say good night. Everybody have a good night. If I don't get back on Facebook Live, which I'll probably do something tomorrow, I want everyone to have a great weekend. Just remember what I've said. I'm going to save this video and I'm going to actually put it on YouTube as well. And everybody have a great night. God bless. And just stay focused. Acquire all the knowledge that you can. Information is free. You go all around and find information all over Google. And if you're not sure and you want to know something about some taxes, just inbox me. Everybody does. You'd be surprised. I get strangers inboxing me. So inbox me. I don't have a problem with sharing my knowledge. So with that, I say good night and thank you everybody for tuning in.